So you try, like, getting quite excited about something.
Fama-lama ding dong!
Okay, I know it's been like a year, but I finally edited it. Here's part 4 of Mr. Men. Merry Christmas.
Oh, Mr. Perfect. He's not a perfect circle since he has 2 lumps on his head. His hair's just horrible, man.
Dude, look at his grin.
Oh, it just looks evil, man.
I feel like we shouldn't be bullying him about his, like, physical traits, but...
I don't think we can put him in negatives. He doesn't do anything bad.
Then who have we got? Mr. Rude? Rivals, possibly everyone. So Mr. Rude's really bad. Dislikes: being polite, having table manners, kindness, friendship, harmony, picnics, dancing, clowns, concerts, octopi, parties, nice words, Little Miss Calamity, and his theme song, The Sad Story of Brave Mr. Rude.
What a list! Oh my
Octopi!
goodness. Wow.
Mr. Mean. Look how long his story is. That's just all the bad things he did. Even after he supposedly turns good, all he gives his brother for Christmas is 2 lumps of coal. I cannot be dealing with someone with that energy.
I mean, dude, he's got to be worse than Uppity and Mischief.
Yeah, we're putting him bottom so far. Mr. Slow.
We don't have Slow.
Oh, do we not? Did we not put him in? Caused some issues by not realising his problem early enough. But he wasn't malicious, so I think we had him just above wrong.
Yeah.
So now we got 2 more. Rush.
I do remember talking about him. I don't think we've got him.
Oh yeah, because he did some bad things.
But then he ended up being a postman and he was good at that.
Oh yeah, so pretty much the same as Mr. Slow.
Yes, who did more bad things then? Right, Mr. Rush, he didn't stop at bus stops and he whisked away food too soon. Mr. Slow delayed people on the taxi.
So Mr. Rush is going below Mr. Slow, but above Mr. Noisy. He's the last one we're putting in.
He's the last one, that's it. We've got all 49. We've actually done it. By the way, you are recording, right?
Yes, thank goodness I am. Okay, final list of Mr. Men ranked by their vibes. Mr. Strong, Mr. Happy, Mr. Cheerful, Mr. Jelly, Mr. Bump, Mr. Good, Mr. Impossible, Mr. Snow, Mr. Cool, Mr. Adventure, Mr. Busy, Mr. Brave, Mr. Greedy, Mr. Small, Mr. Dizzy, Mr. Worry, Mr. Quiet, Mr. Messy, Mr. Bounce, Mr. Nobody, Mr. Muddle, Mr. Tall, Mr. Skinny, Mr. Sneeze, Mr. Silly, Mr. Nonsense, Mr. Funny, Mr. Daydream, Mr. Slow, Mr. Rush, Mr. Noisy, Mr. Wrong, Mr. Clumsy, Mr. Forgetful, Mr. Fussy, Mr. Lazy, Mr. Marvellous, Mr. Nosy, Mr. Clever, Mr. Perfect, Mr. Tickle, Mr. Chatterbox, Mr. Topsy-Turvy, Mr. Rude, Mr. Grumble, Mr. Grumpy, Mr. Uppity, Mr. Mischief, and the worst Mr. Man of the original 49 by his vibes is Mr. Mean.
That is a comprehensive list.
Big up Roger Hargraves and Adam Hargraves for writing the books. Big up Noah for being in the call and helping me make all the decisions. If you are still watching at this point, you are a certified legend. You can go all through the world and tell people Isaac Dean said I'm a legend.